Collins is such a partisan shrew.
And you would imagine that the Democrats would be more on the citizen side. We're all about, let's be fair and let's make sure that, the rich are not getting richer. And in this case, they were literally defending the rich guys, basically.
Right.
Just because of Trump.
Yeah.
Right. Just because of Trump.
Who is responsible for giving the president accurate information about what the cost is? Because Fed Chair Jay Powell was correcting him.
Billion went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1,
3.2.
This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added
our entire capital.
You just added in a third building is what that is. That's
on live television.
No, he wasn't. What the president pulled out of his pocket.
They have two different numbers.
No, the president pulled out of his pocket a page from the FOIA request of the Fed's own internal documents that is available on their website.
Third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's not new.
So when he's saying there's a
there.
third building, you're saying he's wrong?
No. What the president is saying is the entire construction project that's going on, which is a build and renovation project over the last number of years, is currently at $3.1 billion. And what the Fed chair was saying was, no, you have to take one of the buildings out of it. Well, no, it's all one project on the whole complex.
Why do you disagree with that? If the building was already done and it's not part of what your issues are right now?
I don't know what you're saying. If you go back and look, and the president's looked at the forums, they're right there. You can see every single year. They put out the FOIAs for every single year. And every single year, the numbers have gone up for this project.
So we're going to take a look. We're going to see what's happening. And it's got a long way. Do you expect any more additional cost overruns?
Don't expect them. We're ready for them. But we have a little bit of a reserve that we may use. But no, we don't. We expect to be finished in 2027. We're well along, as you can see.
Nice to take these off every once in a while.
When some of the earlier criticism.
Well, I'd love him to lower interest rates. But other than that, what can I tell you? The country is doing really well. I just briefed the chairman of the deal with Japan. Japan is putting up $550 billion in order to lower their tariffs a little bit. That way they have a little bit lower tariff. And they also opened their country to free trade, which nobody thought was even a possibility. And we get a zero tariff in the free trade. We don't pay tariffs, and they're going to pay 15% on everything they send into our country. So it's great. But they put up, as you could call it, seed money. Let's call it seed money. You could call it anything you want, but it's it's a total of $550 billion.
So you're saying that the number Jay Powell gave was wrong, and the one the president had is accurate in your assessment?
I think what the Fed chair is doing is splitting hairs in that moment to try to drive down the top line costs for what we're talking about.
Shelley, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Well, okay, first of all, I'm still trying to confirm or not if the Federal Reserve's renovations are funded by taxpayers. So far, what I've seen is it's not. It's funded by the Federal Reserve because it's a private entity. However, President Trump, I love the way he just bogarted in there. Number one, they're splitting hairs because a few years ago there was another building for the Federal Reserve that was renovated. They're splitting hairs. The point is, I think what President Trump is trying to make is that, look, you're funding these billion-dollar renovations, but yet the American people are still paying all these high interest rates, and houses are not being bought or sold because of the market. So I love the fact that President Trump, again, he just bogarted in there and said, okay, we're going to come, and this is what it is. I'm still trying to figure out some of these other details in there, ask the questions, answer the questions, whatever the case may be. But Jerome Powell knows that he's not dealing with the same old in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, Yana, did you see the part where I know you saw it, where President Trump says, well, I wish he'd lower interest rates, right. And then he hopped him on the back, he looked
that old little man. That was quite a slap.
Yeah,
he received.
What did you
He's
think of
gonna
the whole
remember that
exchange?
one.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, from what Shelley, if you're saying that it's funded directly from the Federal Reserve, basically it's a government project, then that is socialism. And in socialism, it's always there's always waste because you can milk it forever. So that's what they've been doing. And the way that Mr. Powell responded, "Oh, well, you added another No, this is from your own records." So he made it
Right.
seem he was being deceptive there in that moment, that as if Trump himself, or I don't know, someone in the Trump's team added another building, and that's why it brought the cost up. Like that was very deceptive. I didn't like that at all from him, and he seems like he has been lying for a long time.
Well, Yana,
Yeah,
let me correct.
he was
Let me correct
definitely.
this. The Federal Reserve is a private entity. It has the name federal in it, but it's a private. It has the board of governors report to Congress, but the Federal Reserve itself is a private banking financial system. It is. So that's what I was saying. That's what I'm saying. So from what I've read, what I found, according to the Wall Street Journal, the AP, the renovations are not being funded by taxpayers. That's a private entity, but it does have the name Federal Reserve in it, which a lot of people get confused by that.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
they're
there is
responsible
a
for the
certain
interest rates and for
Right.
balancing
Because
our
it's a bank, because it's a financial
Right.
institution. Right.
right, and technically, it's not. It does not get its funding from taxpayers. However, it does get its funding through interest earned on government securities it holds. So
Right.
fees charged to banks for services and other operational income. So
as so do other banks.
Right. So yeah, so it is independent from direct taxpayer funding. Yeah.
But the board of governors are I guess accountable to Congress though too. So the board of governors that it has, they report to Congress.
So are you saying then it was incorrect for President Trump to say that it was funded by taxpayers? So we don't have any. It doesn't matter how much they pay for this building.
Well, let me say this. I couldn't really hear what President Trump was saying or the question. President Trump was pulling out. I think he was making a statement that the renovations are X amount and you're paying for all of this. Why can't you go ahead and lower the interest rate so that Americans can partake of the some of the financial resources in their homes and equity with the interest rates? I think that's the least the point that I got he was making. Again, now don't get me wrong. How money is fungible and they can move around accounts and things like that at any level. So I'm not a miss of that point. All I'm saying is that so far what I've read, again, at least on paper, it does not receive taxpayer funds. It's its own private entity, but there is a government connection, particularly through their board of governors.
Yeah, I think because to me it sounds like what President Trump was saying is that basically, as we all know, the Fed is a very, very powerful entity. And so it operates with a lot of power over Americans and our money and our tax dollars and things like that. And they don't hardly have any oversight.
Absolutely.
So what he's saying basically is you have this, again, they have no oversight. One of those things is how this project, which was supposed to be at 1.9 billion, it's ballooned to 3 billion. And so he's basically saying, you guys are out of control.
Right. It was supposed to be 2.7 billion. Now it's 3.1.
Right.
So, and at the end also we saw that apparently every year the cost was growing.
Exactly.
Right. So
if it's private money, it can grow however much they want it to grow. If it's private money, the biggest point I took away is that what you said, like you said, KJ, they don't have any oversight. We need to blame our Congress. That man standing right next to President Trump, Tim Scott, senators in Congress, that's who we definitely need to go to, because they have allowed and given this control, if you will, of our financial and money system to this private entity that gets to, run havoc or wreak havoc or not. This is where we need to direct our ire.
Yeah, but what we're missing, at least what I think I'm seeing, and what President Trump is saying, is that because even though the Fed is not so much, I guess you can say private, it's not funded by taxpayer dollars directly, they still have a lot of control over over our tax, over our money. And
I agree.
He's showing that while, go ahead.
Because of Congress.
Okay. Not so, yeah, somewhat. I mean, Fed it is independent of Congress. But they set a lot of things with our money. So while he's trying to show, while right now, because they will not lower interest rates, he's sort of connecting the dots, saying we are struggling to buy groceries, and they are splurging on this enormous construction renovation and adding all this, luxury upgrades. And it's ballooned over what the original budget was, and it's connected to how, but we're all still suffering. So okay. That's what I'm. At least
I hear what you're saying. I think that's what President Trump was trying to say. But let me ask you this question. Let me ask you a basic way, like this: if you, Yana, or myself, I don't know, let's say we were multimillionaires or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And our next door neighbor was struggling. Would we be responsible? Does that mean we can't upgrade our homes because our next door neighbors?
Well, if I have the same thing, no, it's not the same
I'm
thing.
glad that money. If it's your money, do you get to do with your money what you want? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
The Federal Reserve has a hand on the entire economy of the United States. Yeah. That is different than a person just having a big house.
Right.
No,
they're not affecting
their money.
They're
loaning the money.
Wait, 1 second.
The use of the money. All I'm saying, I agree with what you're saying in principle. I agree that they're loaning the use of the money to the American public, whatever.
They conduct monetary policy. They supervise and regulate banks. They maintain financial stability.
We are not disagreeing. We are not
different than your neighbor, your millionaire neighbor next door. It's a big difference.
We're not disagreeing. All I'm saying is that the ire should be directed at Congress.
Oh yeah, of course. Both.
I mean, it's the entire, I guess, the swamp that Trump has been targeting, because it's not just the politicians; it's also private institutions.
Right.
That are working together, not for the betterment of the citizens of the United States. And President Trump, he represents the citizens. So he walked in and he asked questions, and he should be doing that as the president.
Yeah, it's a stunning visual. This is what he's trying to connect the dots for us. You have this institution, whether they're independent or not, but they still have a lot of power over our monetary policy. And if they are doing these large renovations, whether it's taxpayer money or not, it's still money that they have been able to direct and manipulate or what have you. And so it's just like, okay, you have Americans who are struggling due to some people can argue your being the Fed's monetary policy, yet they are able to conduct these large, gigantic renovations over budget. So it's just the visual that I think President Trump, which he's all about.
I agree with you there. I can agree with you there.
That's showing it there. That's what I think it was. But it was a stunning visual because he really went in. I mean, President Trump is a master, as we know, deal maker, and he does it with the visuals. I mean, he patted that man on the back so hard, I thought his tie was going to go across the room. I mean, it was crazy. So, I just thought it was. And then you have, of course, CNN. At the end, again, they are so biased. I mean, why can't you just ask a straight question? They always take it from an angle. Instead of if it was Biden, they wouldn't have asked him that.